Hello everyone and welcome to the Young and the Restless official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. In the coming week of the Young and the Restless, the air in Genoa City thickens with tension, secrets and emotional upheaval as lives begin to shift in ways no one could have anticipated. It all begins with a moment that lands like a thunderclap for Lily Winters, a revelation so unexpected it threatens to reshape her understanding of family and identity. At the same time, Holden Novak finds himself standing at a crossroads, drawn deeper into a world of deception and loyalty as he opens up to Claire Newman in a way that could change everything between them. Meanwhile, Adam Newman plunges headfirst into dangerous territory, taking risks that blur the line between strategy and self-destruction, especially as the stakes rise dramatically in the neon-lit chaos of Las Vegas. Every choice, every secret, and every confrontation begins to ripple outward, pulling everyone into an intricate web of consequences that feels impossible to escape. Elsewhere, the emotional fallout between Diane Jenkins Abbott and Jack Abbott reaches a breaking point, as Diane formally shuts down Jack's heartfelt attempt to seek forgiveness. The pain in the room is undeniable, a mixture of regret and wounded pride hanging heavy in the silence that follows. Yet, Tracy Abbott refuses to let hope die so easily, gently urging Jack not to give up on the love that has brought him so much happiness, reminding him of the light Diane once brought into his life. Across town, Abby Winters wrestles quietly with her own conflicting emotions regarding Mariah Copeland's court outcome, torn between sympathy and justice. Devin Winters, however, stands resolute and unyielding, his conviction sharp as he insists that the plea deal was a grave mistake and that Mariah should face the full weight of her actions behind bars. The divide between heart and principle becomes painfully clear, leaving relationships strained and emotions raw. As tensions simmer, Holden Novak is faced with a tempting but morally complicated offer from Kane Ashby, who dangles a lucrative deal in exchange for information about Victor Newman. Information Kane believes Claire may unknowingly possess. But Holden refuses, choosing integrity over profit, a decision that marks a turning point in his character. In the quiet aftermath, when he meets Claire at society, there is a shift in the energy between them, something softer yet more profound. Drawn initially to his reckless edge, Claire now begins to see a different side of Holden, a protective, principled version that surprises her in the best way. When Holden reveals Kane's scheme, it becomes a moment of trust, one that deepens their connection and leaves Claire quietly grateful for his willingness to stand up for her. Their bond evolves in a way that feels both fragile and powerful, hinting at something more meaningful beneath the surface. Meanwhile, at the GCAC, Phyllis Summers once again finds a way to get under Kane Ashby's skin, their chemistry as volatile as ever. There's a spark between them that refuses to die, an undercurrent of desire mixed with old wounds and unresolved tension. Phyllis, bold and unapologetic, seems ready to reignite not just their physical connection, but perhaps even a partnership, one that could pit them against Victor Newman himself. But Kane hesitates, the scars of past betrayals still fresh, leaving him uncertain whether he can risk being burnt again. The push and pull between them creates a charged atmosphere, where every glance and word feels loaded with possibility and danger. Just as Genoa City begins to brace for the emotional storms already brewing, the return of Malcolm Winters and Dr. Stephanie Simmons ignites a revelation so explosive it sends shockwaves through the entire community. Long buried secrets rise to the surface, and whispers of a hidden pregnancy from years ago begin to take shape into something far more real and undeniable. The possibility that Holden Novak could be the grown son of Malcolm and Stephanie looms large, a truth that threatens to rewrite family histories and redefine relationships. For Lily Winters, the implications are staggering, as she is forced to confront the possibility that Holden is not just someone new in her orbit, but her half-brother. The weight of that realization hits hard, leaving her shaken and searching for clarity in a situation that feels almost surreal. In the wake of this revelation, Lily turns to Tracy Abbott, seeking comfort and guidance from someone she trusts deeply. Their conversation becomes a quiet, emotional anchor amidst the chaos as Tracy offers wisdom shaped by years of experience and compassion. At the same time, Lily steps into a new role, helping Malcolm navigate the complicated emotional terrain that comes with rediscovering a son he never knew he had. The journey is messy, filled with uncertainty and raw emotion, but it also carries the fragile promise of healing and connection. Every interaction feels charged with unspoken questions and the hope that somehow they can find a way forward together. Out in Las Vegas, the stakes climb higher with every passing moment as Adam Newman continues to push boundaries in his dealings with Riza Thompson. The atmosphere is electric, a mix of glamour and danger that mirrors the risky game Adam is playing. Nick Newman watches closely, his concern growing as he questions just how far Adam is willing to go, especially when it comes to the intimate and manipulative encounter Riza seems to be orchestrating. The tension builds with every decision, every calculated move, until it becomes clear that Adam may be venturing into territory he cannot easily escape. The line between control and chaos begins to blur, leaving both brothers standing on uncertain ground. As if that weren't enough, an impending confrontation between Matt Clark and Nick Newman threatens to tip everything over the edge. The situation is already volatile, but the possibility that Nick may be under the influence of drugs adds a dangerous unpredictability to the encounter. Emotions run high, tempers flare, and the sense of impending disaster hangs thick in the air, as though one wrong move could set off a chain reaction with devastating consequences. No matter how it unfolds, it's clear that Nick is in over his head, caught in a storm of his own making with no easy way out. By the end of the week, the lives of everyone in Genoa City are left hanging in a delicate balance. As secrets unravel, loyalties are tested, and the future becomes more uncertain than ever. Every storyline pulses with intensity, every character pushed to their limits as they confront truths they can no longer ignore. And as the dust begins to settle, one thing becomes unmistakably clear: nothing will ever be the same again. As the dust of these revelations begins to settle, a fragile stillness falls over Genoa City. But it is the kind of silence that hums with unresolved tension rather than peace. Lily Winters finds herself caught in an emotional whirlwind, replaying every moment, every glance, every conversation she has ever had with Holden Novak, now through the lens of a truth that feels almost too heavy to carry. The possibility that he could be her half-brother reshapes not only her present but her past as well, forcing her to question how much of her life has been built on incomplete stories. There is a quiet ache in her as she tries to reconcile the man she thought she knew with the family connection that now threatens to redefine everything. Yet, even in her shock, there is a deep well of compassion, a willingness to stand beside Malcolm Winters as he grapples with the overwhelming reality of a son he never had the chance to raise. Together, they move through the uncertainty, step by fragile step, each moment filled with the weight of what has been lost and the fragile hope of what might still be found. Holden Novak, meanwhile, stands at the center of it all, his world shifting beneath his feet as the truth about his origins begins to surface. The confidence and recklessness that once defined him now give way to something more vulnerable, more human, as he faces the possibility that his entire identity has been built on a lie. When he looks at Malcolm, there is a flicker of something unspoken, curiosity, resentment, longing, all tangled together in a way that leaves him unsure of how to respond. And yet, in the midst of this emotional storm, his connection with Claire Newman becomes an unexpected anchor. Claire sees the cracks in his armor, the uncertainty he tries to hide, and instead of pulling away, she leans in, offering quiet understanding without judgment. What began as a spark drawn from his reckless charm now deepens into something far more meaningful, as trust and vulnerability begin to take root between them. In her presence, Holden starts to believe that maybe, just maybe, he doesn't have to face this alone. Across town, the emotional battle between Diane Jenkins Abbott and Jack Abbott continues to unfold with heartbreaking intensity. Jack's attempts to bridge the growing distance between them are met with firm resistance as Diane struggles to protect herself from the pain of reopening old wounds. There is love still lingering between them, undeniable and powerful, but it is buried beneath layers of hurt and mistrust that refuse to fade. Tracy Abbott remains a steady voice of hope, gently reminding Jack that some loves are worth fighting for, even when the path forward seems impossibly difficult. Her words linger with him, echoing in the quiet moments when doubt threatens to take over, urging him to hold on just a little longer. The question remains, however, whether love alone is enough to heal what has been broken, or if some fractures run too deep to ever truly mend. At the same time, the divide over Mariah Copeland's fate continues to strain the bonds within the Winters family, creating an undercurrent of tension that refuses to be ignored. Abby Winters wrestles with her conscience, torn between empathy for Mariah and the undeniable weight of what has happened, her heart and mind locked in a quiet, painful battle. Devon Winters, however, remains unwavering, his belief in justice leaving no room for compromise as he stands firm in his conviction that Mariah must face the consequences of her actions. The difference in their perspectives creates a subtle but growing rift, one that threatens to deepen if neither side is willing to bend. It is a conflict that speaks to something larger, a reflection of how even the strongest families can be tested when morality and emotion collide. Meanwhile, the tension between Phyllis Summers and Kane Ashby continues to simmer, their interactions charged with a mix of attraction, history, and unresolved pain. Phyllis pushes forward with her usual boldness, unafraid to challenge Kane and tempt him with the possibility of rekindling what they once had. There is a dangerous allure in her confidence, a promise of excitement and partnership that is hard to ignore, especially when she hints at the idea of standing together against Victor Newman. But Kane hesitates, caught between the pull of old feelings and the caution born from past betrayals, unsure if he can afford to take that risk again. Every moment between them feels like a delicate dance on the edge of something explosive, where one wrong step could either reignite the flame or burn them both beyond repair. Far from Genoa City, under the dazzling lights of Las Vegas, the situation grows increasingly volatile as Adam Newman continues to push himself deeper into a high-stakes game with Riza Thompson. The glamour of the city masks a darker reality, where every move carries consequences and every decision inches him closer to a point of no return. Nick Newman watches with mounting concern, his instincts warning him that Adam is treading dangerously close to losing control. The tension between the brothers builds with every passing moment, fueled by fear, frustration, and the unspoken history that always seems to linger between them. As Riza's intentions become more apparent, the situation takes on an even more dangerous edge, forcing Adam to confront just how far he is willing to go to achieve his goals. It is a gamble that could cost him everything, and the risk has never felt more real. And then, like a storm breaking without warning, the long anticipated confrontation between Matt Clark and Nick Newman finally erupts, bringing with it a surge of chaos and unpredictability. If Nick is indeed under the influence, the situation becomes even more volatile, his judgment clouded at the worst possible moment. Words are exchanged, tensions explode, and the line between control and disaster vanishes in an instant, leaving the outcome hanging in a precarious balance. It is the kind of moment that can change everything, where one decision can alter the course of multiple lives in ways that can never be undone. As the confrontation unfolds, there is a growing sense that the fallout will reach far beyond this single clash, sending ripples through every corner of their interconnected world. By the time the week draws to a close, the emotional landscape of Genoa City has been forever altered, each character left to grapple with the consequences of choices made and truths revealed. Relationships hang in the balance, tested by secrets that refuse to stay buried and emotions that can no longer be contained. And as the camera pulls back on a city caught between heartbreak and hope, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. The story is far from over, and the next chapter promises even greater twists, deeper conflicts, and revelations that will shake everything to its core. As a new chapter begins to take shape, the emotional aftershocks ripple through Genoa City with a quiet but undeniable force, leaving no one untouched by the truths that have come to light. Lily Winters moves through her days with a sense of heaviness that lingers just beneath the surface, her thoughts constantly circling back to the revelation that has altered her world so profoundly. Every interaction with Holden Novak now feels layered with unspoken meaning, as if each word carries the weight of a connection neither of them fully understands yet. There are moments when she wants to pull away, to create distance from the confusion, but something deeper keeps her grounded. A need for answers, for clarity, for some sense of emotional resolution. At the same time, her compassion refuses to waver, especially as she watches Malcolm Winters struggle with the overwhelming reality of fatherhood rediscovered far too late. In those quiet, reflective moments, Lily begins to realize that this isn't just about shock or disruption. It's about redefining what family truly means in the face of unexpected truth. For Holden Novak, the journey becomes one of self-discovery marked by uncertainty and quiet introspection as he starts to peel back the layers of the life he thought he knew. The bravado that once defined him begins to soften, replaced by a more contemplative presence as he grapples with the idea that his identity may have been shaped by secrets kept long before he had any say in the matter. His conversations with Malcolm are tentative at first, filled with pauses and glances that speak louder than words, as both men try to bridge a gap created by years of absence. There is no easy resolution, no immediate sense of belonging, but there is a fragile willingness to try, a small but significant step towards something that could one day resemble understanding. And through it all, Claire Newman remains by Holden's side, her quiet strength offering him a sense of stability he didn't realize he needed. What they share continues to evolve, deepening in a way that feels grounded and real, as trust slowly replaces uncertainty and connection begins to outweigh fear. Meanwhile, the fracture between Diane Jenkins Abbott and Jack Abbott shows no signs of healing easily, the emotional distance between them growing more palpable with each passing day. Jack finds himself caught between regret and determination, unwilling to let go of the love he still feels, even as Diane keeps her guard firmly in place. There are moments when their paths cross, charged with unresolved emotion, where it feels as though one honest conversation could change everything, but neither is quite ready to take that step. Tracy Abbott watches from the sidelines with a mixture of hope and concern, her belief in their bond unwavering, even as the situation grows more complicated. She continues to offer quiet encouragement, reminding Jack that love, when it is real, often requires patience and resilience beyond what feels possible. Still, the question lingers in the air. How long can love endure when trust has been shaken to its core? Across the social landscape of Genoa City, the tension surrounding Mariah Copeland's fate continues to cast a long shadow, influencing relationships in ways both subtle and profound. Abby Winters remains caught in an emotional tug-of-war, her empathy clashing with the harsh reality of what has unfolded, leaving her unsure of where she truly stands. Devon Winters, steadfast as ever, refuses to compromise his sense of justice, his conviction creating a firm line that others struggle to cross. The conversations between them grow more strained, each word carrying the weight of differing values and deeply held beliefs. It is a reminder that even the closest bonds can be tested when faced with difficult truths, and that sometimes understanding does not come easily, even between those who care for each other deeply. At the same time, the dynamic between Phyllis Summers and Kane Ashby continues to simmer just beneath the surface, their interactions laced with tension that feels both familiar and unpredictable. Phyllis, ever fearless, continues to push boundaries, her confidence and determination creating an energy that is impossible to ignore. She sees potential in their connection, not just emotionally but strategically, and her suggestion of joining forces against Victor Newman lingers like an unspoken challenge. Kane, however, remains cautious, the memory of past betrayals holding him back from fully giving in to the pull he so clearly feels. Their exchanges become a delicate balancing act where desire and doubt exist side by side, each moment carrying the possibility of either reconciliation or renewed conflict. In Las Vegas, the pressure reaches a boiling point as Adam Newman continues to navigate a dangerous game with Riza Thompson, each move pushing him further into uncertain territory. The allure of control begins to slip through his fingers as the situation grows more complex, leaving him to question whether he has underestimated the risks involved. Nick Newman, watching from the edge of the storm, becomes increasingly alarmed, his concern evolving into frustration as he struggles to reach his brother before it's too late. The tension between them intensifies, fueled by a history that refuses to stay buried and a present that feels dangerously unstable. And when the confrontation with Matt Clark finally reaches its peak, the fallout is as explosive as feared, sending shockwaves through everything Nick thought he could manage. In the aftermath, the consequences begin to unfold with a quiet but relentless force, leaving each character to confront the reality of what has been set in motion. For some, it is a moment of reckoning, a chance to face truths long avoided. For others, it is the beginning of a deeper unraveling, where the path forward feels uncertain at best.